My name is Piper Thatcher. I'm 23 years old. For 3 years, I delivered pizza to a mansion where an old man tipped me exactly $2. Never more, never less. When he died, his lawyer handed me a sealed envelope. Inside was a DNA test, a brass key, and a note revealing the old man was my grandfather. My father, someone I lost at 10, had been searching for his dad all along. That key opened a room full of people who wanted me gone. They tried to erase me like they'd erased my father 25 years ago, but they picked the wrong girl. I grew up in Grayfield, Virginia, the kind of town where everybody knows your business, but nobody helps carry it. My apartment sat above a laundromat. I paid $450 a month. I worked evenings at Tony's Pizzeria 5 nights a week. Tony hired me at 17 with no questions asked. My dad, Owen, died when I was 10 from lung disease. He was a carpenter, building furniture in a rented garage. He wasn't rich or famous, but he showed up every day until his body wouldn't let him. My mom, Jolene, lasted 2 years after that. One Tuesday, she said she was going to the store. She didn't come back. I was 12. My grandmother raised me. She passed when I was 17. When you lose everyone by 17, you learn one rule fast. No one's coming to save you. So you save yourself. You clock in, you clock out, you make rent. My dad mentioned once that he had another family somewhere. He said it like he was mentioning the weather. I didn't ask questions. I was a kid. The first time I pulled up to 414 West Haven Drive, I thought I had the wrong address. 3 stories, white columns, a green lawn that looked artificial. I'd delivered to nice houses. This was different. I rang the bell. An old man answered. Cardigan, white hair, reading glasses hanging from a cord. He looked at me like he'd been expecting me. Pepperoni? He asked. Yes, sir. $18.50. He handed me a $20 and a single. Keep the rest. $2.50 on an $18.50 order from a house with a 3-car garage. My coworker Danny laughed. Old man Ashford probably counts as napkins. But the next Saturday, Murray Ashford ordered again. Same pizza, same tip. And he asked my manager Rosa for me specifically. So I went. And the Saturday after, and the one after that. Every week, Murray opened the door himself. He'd hand me cash and pause. How's your week been? He'd ask. You eating enough? Nobody asked me those questions. Murray Ashford was the only customer in 3 years who learned my name. Every Saturday, he tipped me exactly $2. 3 years of Saturdays, roughly 150 deliveries, through snowstorms, through August heat. One evening, I showed up with a bruised wrist from a kitchen burn, and Murray noticed. Put ice on that when you get home, he said. Sometimes he talked. A river where a boy used to fish. A woodshop that smelled like cedar. I thought they were just old man memories. I didn't know he was telling me about my father. Then one Saturday, someone else answered the door. A man in his 50s, pressed shirt, expensive watch, jaw set like a gate. He grabbed the pizza without a word and shut the door. No tip. Nothing. Something felt wrong. The next Saturday, no order came. Or the Saturday after. I called the number. No answer. I asked Rosa. She set down her clipboard. Honey, I heard the old man at West Haven passed last week. I sat in the break room for 10 minutes, which surprised me because I didn't think I'd earned the right to grieve someone I only knew through a doorframe. But Murray had asked about my week 150 times, and now nobody would. 3 days later, my phone rang. Ms. Thatcher? My name is Harold Fenn. I'm an attorney. Mr. Ashford left something for you. Could you come to my office? Harold Fenn's office sat above an old hardware store on Main Street. I climbed the narrow stairs in my work sneakers. The office smelled like old paper and furniture polish. Harold stood when I walked in. Late 60s, salt and pepper hair, a vest that didn't fit quite right. He slid a sealed envelope across the desk. On the front, handwritten in blue ink. For the girl at the door. Inside were 3 things. First, a laboratory sheet. The header read, Grand Paternal Relationship Analysis. At the bottom, 99.97%. Second, a brass key stamped with the number 7714. Third, a handwritten note. 5 words. I'm sorry. You have his eyes. So, I looked up. Whose eyes? Your father's. Owen Ashford non sakin. Alba konshi yiragan. The room didn't spin. I just sat there holding a DNA result that told me the old man who tipped me $2 every Saturday was my grandfather. Harold told me the story in pieces. Owen Ashford was Murray's second son. 25 years ago, Owen refused to join his older brother Garrett's real estate business. He wanted to build furniture. Garrett called it a waste. When Owen didn't fold, Garrett convinced Murray that Owen was unstable and headed nowhere. Murray eventually stopped reaching out. Owen wrote 14 letters over 15 years, all mailed to 414 West Haven Drive. Murray never received a single one. Garrett intercepted them and kept them in a locked drawer. My father died at 38, believing his own father had abandoned him. 5 years ago, Murray found those letters in Garrett's study. 14 envelopes, still sealed. That's when Murray called Harold and started planning. But Garrett controlled Murray's phone, his appointments, his visitors. Murray found one gap: pizza delivery every Saturday at 6:15. Murray has a second will, Harold said. It supersedes the one Garrett knows about. I need you present at the reading this Friday. Savre sa carrière, refrainin send. I pressed the brass key into my palm. What if I don't go? Then Garrett inherits everything and the truth stays buried. I thought about my father. He died thinking he'd been thrown away. When's the reading? Friday, 10 a.m. When Harold handed me that envelope, my hands shook because for the first time in 13 years, someone told me my father had mattered to someone besides me. I drove out to West Haven the day before. I wore my flannel and jeans because that's all I own. Garrett opened the door. The same man who'd grabbed the pizza weeks earlier. 50s, thick-necked silver cufflinks. You're the pizza girl. I'm here about Mr. Ashford's estate. He almost laughed. The estate? Sweetheart, you've got the wrong house. Harold Fenn asked me to come. The laugh died. Harold's name landed like a stone in still water. There's nothing here for you. This is a family matter. Anshak Karise, Anshak Staki. I was asked to be here. I'll be here. He stepped onto the porch and lowered his voice. If you show up tomorrow making claims on my father's estate, my attorney will file fraud charges by Monday. And I know Tony Russo, your boss. One phone call, and you won't be delivering anything. Behind him, the door cracked open. A woman appeared. Early 50s, blonde, pearl earrings. She looked me up and down and said to Garrett, Garrett, please tell me this is a joke. Hanir Saintorhawens Anshramani on sign. That was Vivian Ashford. I felt the brass key in my jacket pocket. You can threaten my job. You can threaten a lawsuit. But you're the one who should be worried about what comes out of that reading room tomorrow, not me. I didn't plan that. It just came out, and I could see it land. The way his jaw tightened, the way his hand moved toward the door. Tomorrow at 10, I said. I'll be there. I turned and walked back to my car. I felt his eyes the whole way down that driveway. I sat on my bed that night with the brass key on the nightstand and the only photo I have of my dad. In it, he's smiling, holding up a wooden picture frame he'd made. I was 5. I don't remember the day, but I remember the smell of sawdust. I called Rosa. She listened without interrupting. Piper, she said. That old man ordered pizza every Saturday for 3 years. Same time, same pizza. Always you. That's no coincidence. What is it? That man wanted to see his granddaughter, and he found the only way he could. I hung up and sat in the quiet. My father died believing his own dad had thrown him away. He spent 15 years writing letters, and now Garrett was sitting in the house my grandfather built, threatening to fire me from a pizza shop. If I walked away, Owen Thatcher's story ended the way Garrett wrote it, the son who wasn't good enough. I picked up the brass key, number 7714. My father built things out of wood. Maybe I could build something out of this. Friday morning, I stood outside Harold's office wearing my cleanest flannel. Harold had coffee waiting. 2 cups, 1 black, 1 with cream. He remembered. Before they get here, he said, there's something else you should know. He opened a file and placed a photograph in front of me, a stack of 14 cream-colored envelopes. Owen sent these to your grandfather over 15 years, Harold said. Murray found them in Garrett's study. Everyone intercepted. I could see my father's handwriting on the top envelope, the same slanted print from my birthday cards. They're in the safe deposit box, box 7714. 14 letters, 15 years of my father reaching out. Every attempt stopped by a man sitting 1 room away, pretending his brother didn't exist. Harold set one more document in front of me. This isn't part of the will, but you should know it exists. It was a bank record, a mortgage line on Murray's rental property. The borrower, Garrett Ashford. The amount, $380,000. Garrett had used his father's property as collateral without authorization. The signature was forged. If Garrett challenges the will, an audit will uncover this. It's elder financial abuse, a felony. He can't fight the will without destroying himself. Through the window, I heard car doors slam. Harold straightened his vest. They're here. The conference room was small. Oak table, leather chairs. Garrett walked in first. Charcoal suit, expensive tie. Vivian followed. Cream blouse, diamond studs. Behind them, Bradley, their son, 28, scrolling his phone. Then Helen Marsh, the accountant, and Daniel Reeves, a notary public. Finally, I walked in. Bradley looked up. Wait, is that the pizza girl? Vivian's mouth twitched. Garrett turned to Harold. Harold, what is this? Who authorized this person to be in the room? Sawir chamdursa and damdarisam. Murray did. Please sit down, Garrett. I sat. The only sound was my chair scraping the floor. I folded my hands on the table. I was flannel in a room full of suits, sneakers on wool carpet. Every single person knew I didn't belong there, except Harold, and except the man who'd ordered me there from beyond the grave. Harold opened his briefcase. We are here for the reading of the last will and testament of Murray James Ashford, deceased. Also present is Piper Thatcher at the express written request of the deceased. Garrett's jaw flexed. Harold read the first document. It was the original will. 60% to Garrett, 20% to charity, 20% for expenses. No other beneficiaries. Garrett leaned back. The tension drained from his shoulders. He looked at Vivian. She squeezed his hand. Bradley pocketed his phone. Guess you came all this way for nothing, pizza girl. Vivian pivoted toward Harold. Harold, would you kindly see this young lady out? I'm sure she has a shift. Harold didn't look up. He set the first document aside. Then he pulled out a second folder. Thicker, sealed with a wax stamp. There is a second document. The room changed. Garrett was on his feet. There is no second document. I was with my father every single day for 5 years. I would have known. And saw 60, or seemed stunned. Harold looked over his glasses. You controlled his phone, Garrett. His visitor schedule, his correspondence. You would not have known about a meeting when you were in Richmond for 3 days in October 2 years ago. Garrett's face lost color. This is absurd, Vivian said. You're risking your license, Harold. This document was notarized by 2 independent witnesses and filed with the county clerk. It supersedes the prior will and Bradley stepped off the wall. Nah, this is a scam. She cooked this whole thing up. I'd been quiet for 12 minutes. I looked at Bradley. I delivered pizza to your grandfather every Saturday for 3 years. He knew my name. He asked me how my week was. He noticed when I burned my wrist. Did you even know his favorite topping? I am my inside of fine. N. Bradley opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Helen Marsh's fingers stopped over her keyboard. Garrett sat down slowly. Read it, he said to Harold. Before Harold could begin, Vivian stood. She walked toward me and stopped 2 feet from my chair. Let me explain something to you, sweetheart. The word landed like a slap. Murray was 81 years old. People like you see a confused old man in a big house and see a payday. Your father was a failure who walked away because he couldn't cut it. And now his daughter shows up with an envelope and a sob story. Honey, that's not inheritance. That's a hustle. I sat still, the brass key pressed into my thigh, and I thought, this is what my dad heard. This exact tone. This exact family. They'd erased him once. They were trying to erase me. I looked at Vivian. Are you done? Her smile faltered. Excuse me? I asked if you're done, because the lawyer isn't. Something shifted in her expression. Surprise, or the realization that the pizza girl wasn't crying. Harold cleared his throat. I'll proceed. Harold placed the second document on the table. I, Murray James Ashford, being of sound mind, do hereby revoke all prior wills. Garrett closed his eyes. The house at 27 Elm Street, where Owen Ashford grew up, was left to Piper Thatcher, along with safe deposit box number 7714. An education trust of $120,000 for vocational or academic training. The remaining liquid assets were directed into the Owen Ashford Memorial Scholarship. Garrett's son was named Owen. The fund was named after his uncle, the son he'd erased. The West Haven mansion remains with Garrett, but he must repay $380,000 in mortgage debt within 12 months. Failure will trigger a forced sale. Helen Marsh's typing stopped. She looked at Garrett, then at the document, then back at Garrett. Harold placed one more item on the table. Abanetoy, the DNA test certificate. Andan show en sans or tree ar transi. 99.97% probability of grand paternal relationship. The room was silent. Garrett stared at the result like it was written in a language he refused to learn. Garrett shoved his chair back. My father did not write this. You manipulated a sick old man into... Garrett. Harold's voice was quiet. He opened a file and laid out photographs of sealed envelopes. 14 envelopes. Owen sent these to Murray. Murray found them in your study. Unopened. You kept them for 15 years. Helen Marsh turned her screen away from Garrett. Vivian stepped forward. Those could be fabricated. The postmarks are verified by USPS records. The handwriting matches Owen's signature on his birth certificate. Garrett sat motionless. His hand gripped the armrest, knuckles white. For the first time, he had no answer. I didn't plan what I said next. It just came. My dad died when I was 10. He died believing his father had abandoned him. He spent 15 years writing letters and never got a single answer. He didn't know those letters were sitting in your drawer. He died alone, thinking no one in this family wanted him. Garrett looked at me for 1 second. Something crossed his face. Then it was gone. Helen Marsh quietly closed her laptop. Bradley pushed off the wall and came toward me fast enough that Daniel Reeves stood up. This is complete crap, Bradley said. His face was red. You're not taking a single thing from this family. I stood. Not because he scared me, because I don't have conversations sitting down while someone stands over me. We were 3 feet apart. He was taller, wider. His hands were balled at his sides. Your grandfather ordered pizza every Saturday for 3 years just to see me, I said. That's not a scam, Bradley. That's the only honest thing in this room. Harold, Garrett's voice came from behind his son, strained. If this continues, I will contest every word of it. Harold didn't flinch. That is your right, Garrett. But contesting will require a complete probate audit of Murray's entire estate, including any unauthorized liens, mortgages, or encumbrances. The room held its breath. Garrett understood. If he contested, the audit would expose the forged power of attorney, the $380,000 loan. In Virginia, that's elder financial abuse, a felony. He couldn't fight the will without destroying himself. Bradley looked at his father, waiting for the signal. The signal didn't come. Sit down, Bradley, Garrett said. Quiet now, emptied out. Harold looked at me. Shall we proceed to signatures? I signed the documents in blue ink, the same color Murray used on my envelope. Daniel Reeves notarized each page with a quiet stamp. I looked at Garrett. I'm not going to sue you. I'm not calling the police about those letters. But I am going to take that key, walk into First National Bank, and read every letter my father wrote to a man who loved him and couldn't reach him. And I'm going to do that alone. I stood and extended my hand to Harold. He shook it. A firm grip. Steady. I walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard Vivian's heels click. I was halfway down the hallway when she called out. Piper, wait. I stopped, turned around. Vivian's face had changed. The southern charm was gone. What was left was something raw, the panic of someone who just realized the floor is falling. Listen, she said, lowering her voice. Garrett made mistakes, but if that loan becomes public, it'll destroy us. Everything we've built, ausar sound, sound foe. That's not my problem, Mrs. Ashford. I looked at her. This was the woman who called my father a failure, who called me a hustler, who smiled while she said it. Here's what I'll tell you. I'm not making anything public, but not because you asked. It's because my grandfather wouldn't have wanted that. He left me that envelope so I'd know where I came from. I turned away. You don't get to insult my family and then ask my family for a favor. I walked down the stairs and out into the sunlight. My Honda was at the meter. The parking ticket made me laugh, the first time I'd laughed in weeks. I drove to the bank. 2 weeks passed. Garrett did not contest the will. His attorney withdrew. His lawyer had told him, "You don't have a case." The bank flagged the mortgage for fraud. Garrett was given 90 days to repay the $380,000 or face criminal referral. He and Vivian sold the mansion and moved to Roanoke. Bradley lost his meal ticket. I drove to First National Bank on a Tuesday morning. A clerk led me to the vault. Box 7714 was small, unassuming. I slid the key in. It turned with a click I felt in my chest. Inside, 5 things. 14 letters from Owen to Murray. The first one was soft from age. Inside, my father's handwriting, the same slanted print from my birthday cards, telling his father about his daughter, about naming her Piper. He never came. He never knew. 22 letters from Murray to Owen, never sent. Murray wrote about guilt, about finding the hidden letters, about watching a girl with Owen's eyes deliver pizza every Saturday. A family photo album. Several pages had been torn, but Murray had taped some back in carefully with Scotch tape. A property deed for 27 Elm Street. And one last envelope, smaller, separate, written on the front in Murray's hand. R. Piper. I sat on that cold metal bench for 45 minutes. My father's voice came through the paper, steady, hopeful. The house at 27 Elm Street was exactly what I needed. 2 bedrooms, yellow kitchen tile, a porch that needed sanding, and behind the house, a wood shop where my father learned to build. The grass was knee-high. The paint was peeling. On the mantel, a wooden picture frame with initials burned into the back, Owen Ashford. The same design as the one in my photo of Dad. I walked out to the workshop. On the workbench, a half-finished birdhouse. I decided 3 things. I would move in. I would enroll in the woodworking program at Blue Ridge Community College. And I would finish that birdhouse. Not because Murray asked me to, because my father started it and I'm his daughter. I waited a full week before opening Murray's letter. I opened it at the kitchen table with the morning light coming through the yellow-tiled window. Murray's handwriting was shakier. He'd found me through a private investigator 4 years before he died. The moment he saw my photograph, he knew I had Owen's jaw, Owen's hands. He wanted to introduce himself. I'm your grandfather, and I'm sorry. But he was afraid Garrett would interfere. So he chose the safest path. Pizza delivery every Saturday. The same order, the same tip. He wrote, "The $2 was never a tip, Piper. They were the only thing I could hand you myself." Every Saturday I told myself, this is enough. Men sign dangersten to fine. The last line was written in larger letters. You have his hands. Build something. N. I folded the letter and put it in my flannel pocket next to the brass key. Someone out there is listening right now. And they believe what I used to believe, that their family doesn't want them, that the silence is proof they're not worth loving. I believed that for 13 years. Then I opened an envelope from a dead man. My grandfather wanted me. He couldn't reach me. And when he finally found a way, a pizza order, $2, a few seconds at his front door, he held on to it every single week for 3 years. That doesn't fix everything. But it tells me something I needed to hear. Your absence from someone's life doesn't always mean they chose it. You don't need the approval of the people who rejected you. You just need the truth. And then you decide what to build with it. 6 months later, I live at 27 Elm Street. The grass is cut. The porch is sanded. I'm enrolled in the woodworking program. The instructor said I work wood like someone who grew up around it. Rosa comes by on Saturdays with pepperoni pizza. She's the closest thing I have to family. I hung Murray's photo in the living room. Murray holding Owen when he was 5. On the back, my boys. I added my own photo next to it. The brass key hangs by the front door. It doesn't open anything anymore, but I keep it where I can see it. Every Saturday, I eat pepperoni pizza, because that's how my grandfather found me. If you ask me who Murray Ashford was, I'll tell you. He was the man who tipped me $2 every Saturday for 3 years. It was all he could give. It was everything he had. And it was enough. It was always enough.